Hi, I'm Amanda with Love and Soap Studio. In this video, I'm going to show you how I prep my oils and lye solution for soap making day. So I don't like to measure them out batch by batch as I'm making soap because sometimes that can just be a little, a little daunting and certainly not efficient. And so by preparing your bases, your base oils and your lye solution ahead of time, you can have everything ready to go for your soap making day and be much more efficient when you're spending your time making soap. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through prepping 5 batches. Now you're only limited to the size of your equipment, so if you have a scale that can hold a lot of weight and you have a master pouring container that can hold a lot of weight, you can definitely scale this up for production, for higher production, and do much more than 5 batches. So I'm just going to do 5 batches today, and I kind of explain why in the video, but I hope that this video helps you in your efficiency when making soap. All right, so here's my recipe. So this recipe is just for 1 batch of soap. It's a 900 gram oil batch, and it fits into a 10-inch silicone loaf mold. And so that's my standard batch size. And so I want to prepare enough oils and lye solution for 5 of these. And so that is what I'm gonna do today. Normally I would do more, but our big stainless steel stock pots are in storage and I didn't have anything big enough to hold all of the oils. So I'm only gonna do 5, so that's fine. So this is good for, soap makers who are kind of just getting started and are still doing, just batches by the loaf mold and maybe not doing, 20-pound or 40-pound batches yet. But it helps you prep everything, in one day, and then either later that day or the next day you can make soap but not have to prep each individual batch, which can be really tiring. Okay, so this is my recipe. Now this has shea, coconut, olive, avocado, rice bran, and I'm going by grams today, and all I simply did was I timed each of the oils by 5 to get the total amount of oil that I'm going to have to measure out into my big oil batch. And then once I have everything measured out, I'm going to pour them into my individual mixing containers so that all I have to do when I'm ready to soap is add my lye solution and then, mix to trace and do my thing and turn it into soap, and I'll share the containers that I use and everything like that. So basically just take your recipe and times each oil by however many batches you want to do. And again, I'm doing 5, so I've times everything by 5, and that's what I'm going to use today for my measurements. Okay, so let's go over some of the equipment that you're going to need. Like I said, normally I would use a big stainless steel stock pot. It happens to be in storage, so I just have my regular pot here. But this is going to work to melt my shea butter and coconut oil. So whatever you have, of course, the more batches you do, the bigger pot you'll need. So typically I have a pretty large stainless steel pot that I use. I just don't have it. Then you're going to need, and this is what I use, these are Rubbermaid containers. You can find them at Walmart, but these hold a 2-pound oil batch or 900 gram oil batch, which is what I'm dividing mine into, perfectly. So you can mix in them as well. So it holds the oils plus the lye solution. And so this is what I divide my oils into for my batches, and I can store them with lids so that they're ready to go. And all I have to do is add my lye solution and make my soap. So again, they're Rubbermaid containers. They're called take-along containers. And I think total they hold 40 to 50 ounces. I can't remember exactly, but you'll need to get them big enough to hold the oils plus the lye solution if you plan to mix in them. And so these hold that size perfectly. So yeah, this is 6.2 cups, 1.4 liters. So look for those. They're very inexpensive and they work perfectly for 1 batch size for like a silicone loaf mold. Okay, now for my lye solution, I prepare my lye solutions in these Ziploc containers. So again, you can find these at Walmart or whatever store you go to, Target. And I mix my lye solution in these, and then I also store it in these so that when I'm ready to make soap, I just grab one of my oil containers, one of my lye containers, and then do my thing. So another thing I have is this Rubbermaid pitcher. This is good for measuring out all of my liquid oils and then dividing it out into the individual bowls, which I'll show you what I'm talking about. So these are just some silicone spatulas that I got at Walmart. All right, so step one in this process is to weigh out our hard oils and butters and melt. So in this recipe, shea butter and coconut oil are our hard butters and oils. And again, we're doing 5 batches. So for shea butter, I need 675 grams. And for coconut oil, I need 1125. So go ahead and put your container on the scale. Make sure it's on grams if you're doing grams. If you're doing ounces, if your batch is in ounces, that's perfectly fine. You can times your ounces by 5. Make sure that your scale is on, whatever it needs to be on to match your recipe. So I'm doing grams. So I'll do my coconut oil first. So I need 1125. All right, so 1126, that's close enough to 1125. So that's my coconut oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and press tare and weigh out my shea butter. All right, and we needed 675 for the shea butter, so 676, that's close enough. And so now what I'm gonna do is melt this down. And so I'm just gonna simply put it on the stovetop on a medium heat and just constantly stir as it melts. Now, one thing you wanna keep in mind is that make sure that the scale that you're using can handle all of the weight of your oils. So if you're doing even bigger batches or or more oils, you wanna make sure that your scale's limit isn't under the oils that you're weighing. So some scales, stop at 7 pounds, some at 14 pounds, some at 20 pounds. And so you want to make sure that your scale can hold everything that you're weighing. So your oils plus your container. So just keep that in mind. If you have a really low weighing scale, then you're not going to be able to weigh all of your oils out. Okay, so I'm going to simply go and melt these down. Okay, so this is our shea butter and our coconut oil. It's completely melted. And to this, I'm gonna add the avocado and the rice bran. Now, again, I keep saying if I had my big stainless steel stock pot, if I had that, then I could add all of my liquid oils, but I just know that this pan isn't gonna hold everything. It's not big enough. So I'm gonna have to do my olive oil separate. But I'm gonna go ahead and put my avocado and my rice bran in here. And so by the end, we'll have our coconut oil, our shea butter, our avocado, rice bran. Then we'll be able to divide that out into the individual bowls, and then we'll add our olive oil to each individual bowl. So it's a step extra just because I don't have a pan big enough, but that's okay. Okay, so let's do the avocado. So avocado, we need 450 total grams. Okay. Just gotta go a little bit more. All right, 452, that's okay. And then rice bran is 450 grams. All right, just a little bit more. Okay, 450 grams. All right, so now we have our coconut oil, our shea butter, our avocado, and our rice bran. And again, if I had room in the pan, I would go ahead and add my olive oil, and then that would be everything in one pot. But because this won't hold it, I'm gonna have to do that separately. So that's okay, it's just an extra step for me today. Okay, so now I'm going to mix this, and then we're gonna divide it out into the individual bowls. All right, so if I add up for each recipe, the oils that we have in the master batched oil, so the coconut, the shea, the avocado, the rice bran, it's 540 grams. Now again, that doesn't include the olive because my pan wasn't big enough, so I'll have to do that separately. So I'm going to need to pour 540 grams into each individual bowl. And so to make that easier though, I actually transfer from the pot to a pitcher. Now you can pour directly from the pot if you want. Sometimes that can be messy and it's just easier to do from a pitcher. So this is just a Rubbermaid pitcher. And so I'm just going to simply pour my oils into it, and it's just going to make it easier to pour into the bowls. Okay, I'm going to want to scrape that really good so we get everything out. And again, simply a matter of preference. It just makes it easier to pour. And we're going to need our scale. And our individual containers. So again, I'm going to be pouring out 540 grams into each bowl. All right, 540. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my olive oil as well. And that is 360 grams. All right. That's okay if you go over, 2 or 3 grams, that's fine. So this has now 900 grams of oil. So this is complete. This is ready to go. Okay, so just keep doing that for as many batches as you did. And before you pour from your master oils, always mix it. Just because some of the fatty acids might be a little denser, might sink. So you want to make sure that it's completely mixed before you pour off from it. So again, 540. All right, so just like that, I have 5 batches of oils ready to go. And so if I'm not ready to make soap today, then I'll wait for them to cool down and then put the lids on. And these are nice because, you can store them for a little bit. So if if you don't get around to making soap right away, you can just, keep them for a little while. But yeah, this works really well. And so now when I'm ready to soap, I don't have to do all of the prep work. I can just get in a creative mood, maybe watch some YouTube soap making videos, and then go to the kitchen, grab my oils. And then if I've already prepared my lye solution, I can grab that and then I can just go make soap. I don't have to worry about prepping everything. And so next up, I am actually going to show you how I prepare my lye solutions for these batches. Okay, so now we're going to prepare our lye solutions for all of these batches. Now, there's 2 different ways that soap makers master batch their lye solution. You can do a really concentrated solution. And so what a lot of soap makers do is they'll do a 50-50 solution, so 1 part sodium hydroxide to 1 part water. And then they keep it in 1 container. And then when they're ready to soap with it, they'll simply measure out what they need and then add the additional water or liquid, it could be a milk or anything, to it to get their desired concentration. So that's certainly okay to do, and I actually used to do that a lot. But what I've actually come to do is just make the solution as, and in the concentration that I want it, so that I don't have to worry about, adding water to it, adding liquid to it, and getting it to where I need it to be. So I just simply make a lye solution in each of these containers that's going to be, exactly what I need. And so for this recipe, the lye solution is 124 grams of lye, and 248 grams of water. So I take my lye and I times it by 2, and that's what I use in water. So that's just my preference. Water can fluctuate in soap making. If you are interested though in learning more about the traditional master batching, which is the 50% solution, I have an ebook that you can purchase at loveandsoap.com all about master batching, because you want to, there's a certain process. You want to use safe containers for storing it. And then it also goes over all of the math as you're measuring out and working with it. And the benefits of that is, if you don't have a lot of room in your house to store your lye solution, then storing a more concentrated solution, that isn't mostly water, is going to save you space. And so a lot of soap makers do that. So again, it's a master batching ebook at loveandsoap.com. I'll put the link for you. Definitely check it out because it might be helpful to you. But today we're simply going to create a lye solution for each batch as complete. Now, if you're new to soap making, this is kind of an advanced, tutorial where I'm not going to go over all the basics of creating a lye solution. So be sure to check out our basic soap making series, and I go in detail on lye safety and how to create a lye solution. So of course, I've got my goggles on, I've got my gloves on, I'm in a well-ventilated area, so I've got everything ready to go. All right, so this is super easy. Okay, so I'm gonna weigh out my water into each container. And again, my water is 2 times my lye, so 248. Okay, if you're off a gram or two, that's okay. Not a big deal with water. All right, so there's all my waters ready to go. So now I'm going to weigh out the sodium hydroxide for each one and mix it into each container. So let me go grab a pouring container for that. Okay, so let's weigh out our sodium hydroxide. And I just use this glass container. Now you never want to make your lye solution in glass, but just measuring it out is gonna be fine. So we're gonna use that. So put that on the scale, hit tare. And again, I've got my goggles and gloves on. And it's 124. All right, 124. Okay, and then you can just simply pour it into your water, okay, while stirring. And remember, your lye goes into your water, never the other way around. Okay, so just stir it until it's dissolved. It will, get cloudy, it'll fume a bit, so be sure you're in a well-ventilated area. But it dissolves really quickly, so just put that aside and repeat. Now as you're mixing, be sure you mix until they're completely dissolved, otherwise you'll get that ring of lye on the bottom of your container, and that's hard to get that to dissolve. All right, so go ahead and double check all of them and make sure that they're nice and mixed. Make sure there's nothing that's undissolved. Okay, these all feel good. You can usually feel with your spatula if there's anything on the bottom that didn't get dissolved. Okay, so we'll just let these sit and cool down. And then as soon as they are cooled down, to like room temperature or just above room temperature, we can go ahead and put our lids on for storage. All right, so there you have it. There is our complete multi-batch prep that we did. So there's 5 lye solutions, there's 5 oils, and when I'm ready to make soap, all I'm simply going to do is grab an oil, grab a lye solution. Again, these containers are nice because they hold everything. So I can pour my lye solution into this container, mix it to trace in this container, and not have to worry about dirtying other dishes. And so it's really great. It's efficient. You're not having to wash a lot of dishes. And so now, one question that I get a lot is, do you have to heat up your oils or lye solution? And you don't. You can actually just soap with everything at room temperature. Now, if you want to heat anything up, you definitely don't want to use your microwave. Just put some hot water in your sink and do a hot water bath, and then place each in your sink and have a temperature gun. And then as the temperature is raised, you can kind of keep track of that. And the only reason you would want to heat them up is if it's really cold where you live. You certainly don't want everything to be too cold where you'll get false trace or where you'll get steric spots. So I actually do prefer to heat mine up a little bit in a hot water bath, and I soap anywhere from 80 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's simply a matter of preference. You can try one at room temp. So not adding any heat to it, just simply grab it from your shelf and soap it and see how it does. And that works for a lot of soap makers. So you're just going to have to experiment to see what works well with where you live and kind of the temperature. So I hope this video was helpful in teaching you how to multi-batch oils and lye solution for your soap making. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. For more soap making tutorials, articles, design techniques, and recipes, please visit our website at lovinsoap.com, LOVIN soap.com. We'd also love you to join our Facebook group, Saponification Nation, where soap makers from all over the world come together to talk soap, share their projects, their beautiful photos, and what they're working on. So just go to Facebook, search groups for Saponification Nation, and we should pop up.